What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the One More Rep podcast. I'm your host. My name is Joseph Percher. With me this time, my good friend Austin Brown. Before we get rolling, I'd like to encourage you guys to subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, leave us a comment for the algorithm, send it around, share it with a friend, share it with somebody that might like the show. And lastly, ring the bell so that you're notified when I get these up. I'm doing these a couple times a week. And with that, Austin Brown, 10 days out from the Arnold. How you feeling, man?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's pretty much here, so
Yeah.
it's starting to it kind of took a mental shift like a couple days ago where it's like, okay, it's like it's happening, it's here. It starts feeling a little different, but I'm digging deep and kind of got hit by the proverbial prep Mac truck the last couple days. I just kind of died inside, just a lot of blank staring and getting stuck in chairs after I eat, and just digging, man. But visuals shifted nice this week and hit some new low numbers on the scale, and it's you know I. I'm always a guy who's ready too early, and this time it's like the timing is perfect, which can give me some anxiety knowing I'm typically ready even earlier. But it feels good just to be like to time it up perfect. Like I think like we've talked about, like higher days and then like these stretches of digging some fat off, and I'm feeding up today, and I think I've got about one more of those little digs in me before I see the next visual shift I've been searching for, and then I think it's going to be right there for peak week. So it's good, man.
Hell
It's
yeah.
good.
I'm excited to see it. Knowing you and knowing what my prep experience has been, I'm sure there would be part of your brain that would be concerned at this point if you didn't get stuck in a chair at this point. You know what I mean? Or you didn't have a couple moments where you literally didn't even have the energy to make a facial expression back at your girlfriend or whatever the case is. So yeah, those moments are just part of it. I mean, it's not a suffering contest necessarily, but we have both been in shape enough to know that this is just part of it to some degree. So yeah, I mean, seeing your pictures and hearing kind of how you're feeling, like being that the scale has come down and brought you that kind of new low weight, like no surprise. I kind of knew when I got on. That's I even asked you before off air. I was like, "Do you even want to record?" Because I knew
And I
you'd be
know
feeling
that's
it.
why you asked me. And I
Yeah,
was like, he's looking out for me, but
yeah. No, and I appreciate you making the time, knowing that that's how you feel. So I'm going to take advantage of it while I got you. We're going to dive into some questions. I got some good questions on Instagram, so shout out to everybody that sent them.
yep, yep.
Um, this one says, seeing a lot of first time competitors now immediately offering coaching. In your opinion, when is a person qualified to start coaching others? Is it a matter of how long of an experience? Should there be any certification, schooling, etc.?
Ugh, what a loaded question, really. You know, it's tough to see, and you see it a lot, but it is what it is. And for me, is like as far as certifications and stuff, like from the perspective of bodybuilding, what we do is so atypical, and this there's a lot of science that supports our actions, but at the end of the day, we've talked about there's no science performed on 250 pound 6% body fat bodybuilders, right? So it's like
Juice heads. Yeah.
so I think that where my issue lays with this question or this situation is when people just right off the bat are coming they think they're there immediately, they're charging certain rates, and they're making merchandise, and it's they did one show or something, right? It's like, for me personally, like I had, it was like a friend wanted me to help them out because I had a couple shows under my belt and I coached myself for those. So it was like, okay. And then it was like, to help them for free. And, and
Yep.
then eventually maybe I was charging $100 a month, to
Yep.
help out 10 people. And this was years too, as I, worked another job, built my skill set as a bodybuilder, as a coach. And then, finally graduated into where I'm at now. But I think that people need to kind of slow their roll with it. And, people ask me all the time, how do I get into coaching? And
Yeah.
it's like find a buddy, find a family member and say, hey, if I write you this 12-week training program and this diet and we touch base every so often, would you care if you did this for me essentially and I do it for you, and let me help you get in shape, and something like that, and then build from it from there. Don't go right into charging people these, really any money at all. You really shouldn't, in my opinion, until you've produced some results, just from your efforts and your work. So that's my issue with it. But yeah, it's a tough question to answer. Like, what are the exact things? It's like for me, it's like produce some results with some people, and show that you have that ability to do so. And maybe that's one of those people is yourself. Coach yourself into a show or into great shape, or and then help your brother or whatever it is. But have something tangible to market to people. Don't post. I hate when it's they had a show, they post their show pic that their coach helped them get in shape, and then it's like
Yes.
accept clients, blah, blah, and it's like, no, man, like not quite, So
Yeah, I totally agree. That was a really well or really good way to put it. In my own experience, I started bodybuilding 2011. I did my first show 2014. I didn't start helping someone else until 2017.
yeah,
And it was for free. The first five
yeah,
people that I helped were for free. And then there were the slowest incremental financial increases that you could think of.
that's right.
Months and months later, after people were already like, man, like I'm super thrilled with the results. I'd already produced a before and after with someone. And then it was like, all right, well, what do you think? Would you be willing to pay me $50 a month? Like, you know what I mean? Like it was the slowest incremental increases
Yeah,
of all time.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and I did this all the while I was working a real corporate job to fund my bodybuilding. You know what I mean? Like the real world is still going on, and I still needed to afford things. Like I couldn't at that time. I probably would have never even dreamed of actually coaching full time. So, um, I'll say for every scenario, there's going to be like a sliding scale of all these different things. Like how long of experience? Is there any certifications, schooling, any of these things? Like I have a degree in economics that doesn't have anything to do with bodybuilding, but I also think it taught me how to be a professional and to communicate with adults, which as a coach, you need to be a professional communicator. Um, so like if you just have no schooling and you were a knucklehead in high school and didn't pursue anything after that other than lifting weights and being a meathead, like you're probably in no position to help other people. Um, I think another thing to consider is the age of the person. So, like, I saw this morning, literally on my Instagram, 18-year-old kid that I follow that until he hired a coach to start prep, um, had never even really been able to like follow a plan or a diet himself.
mm,
And then so then this young kid hired a coach, went through a contest prep, and then is now using those photographs to market that he's a coach. It's like not only do you have little to no actual bodybuilding, nutritional, or weightlifting experience, you have little to no life experience. You are a child. Like, how in the world are you going to help someone that's 40 years old that has two kids and needs to manage like, you know, their time and their schedule, or tell them like, yeah, man, just don't worry about the kids. I need you to do 2 hours on the stairs. Like, what the fuck? Like, can we be a little bit more like practical about this, please? Like, um, I think it is a little, it can be a little frustrating that this is like our career path industry, that it is like it's just the wild west. There's no rules, and literally anyone, like tomorrow, if that kid that I'm talking about made a reel that got 20 million views and then it brought him 200,000 followers, he would have more clients than the both of us by the end of the week, which is absurd. But
crazy, man.
that's just how it is. So I think there are a couple certifications that have come along that are like specific to competitive bodybuilding. My background is through the J3U process. I think it ends up being a little bit expensive, but if this is really what you want to do, and you want to prove to people that you're trying to earn your stripes, I think that can help. I have that. I have the N1 certification for training, which, again, I think gets a little bit bogged down and a little bit dorky, but again, it's more of like can show, besides just the real life shit, that I looked to further my education in this. But I don't think by any means, I know a lot of people that have none of these things, that don't have a college degree and just have 10 years bodybuilding and helping other people, and they're awesome. They'd be on the top of the list of people that I wanted to coach me if I was up for a coach. So
Yeah.
um I think if you're hiring someone, you just need to be aware of what their overall experience level is, both in terms of bodybuilding, but also in terms of just real life. Like, would be, I think it would be pretty foolish to hire someone that's like quite a bit younger than you, like, in these teenage years, not to knock these guys, but like, you just don't even know what I didn't at 18 either. You know what I mean? I was a kid. Um, so yeah,
There,
I
I mean,
think,
there's so much more. There's so much more to coaching, right? Like the psychological piece of
yeah,
coaching is like it's like more than half of it. Like
yeah,
how much are we coaching someone's mind than we're actually giving them X's and O's? That stuff's easy. That's
it
the
is
easy
easy.
part of coaching.
Yeah.
Navigating a person and getting meeting that person where they're at to achieve the results that they desire. That's the trick of coaching. That's the art of coaching. So it's people think it's if you know how to count a macro, you're a coach. It's like, man, there's a lot of layers to this.
That's a good way to put it. There is a lot of layers to it. That's probably, you just, how did you say it? Knowing how to meet people where they are. I think that's
Yeah,
probably maybe if I had to put one singular skill forward that's most important, it might be that. Like,
I
that's what I'm
think.
talking about with an 18-year-old kid trying to help organize bodybuilding and a lifestyle for, an adult, to put it bluntly. Like, it's never going to happen. I think, now on the flip side of it, not to contradict myself, there are some kids that have a good head on their shoulders. They've really been at this, and they've asked me, how do I get into coaching? And I've told them, like you said, find a couple people that are around your age, preferably younger, that look like they're dedicated, or they follow, they're doing their own thing and following a plan. Pull them aside and say, hey, if you promise to follow this to the letter, I will coach you, and I'll do it totally for free.
Yeah,
And do that with 5 or 10 people, and then go from there.
get portfolio going.
Yeah, yeah. Build a resume, build a portfolio, resume, whatever you want to call it. Um, and I think, to be mindful of who is your target demographic. Like, if you're a 21-year-old kid and you've done one show and you're looking to help people, you should be looking at people that are 18 to 21 that have never competed. Because other than that, like, you had to hire a coach to get on stage. Like, what do you know about competing? You know nothing about competing. So I would just be mindful. Like, the one thing that I think is important for like who you can coach, it's simple. You just have to know and be more, you have to know more and be more experienced than the person you're helping. So
Yeah.
that's pretty low level. But you have to keep that in mind. Like, if you're someone that's done one show, you can't help someone get in shape for a show. You can help lifestyle people. You can help someone lose 20 pounds for their vacation, or whatever the case is. But just be mindful of who the demographic is. But I would, especially if I was like a younger guy right now, that I would be looking for the kids in the gym that seem dedicated, and maybe they're posting on Instagram that they follow some type of macro plan or meal plan. And I would just be offering them free coaching. I would make sure to make it sound like it was a deal for them, like, hey, I'm willing to offer this to you for free,
I like that.
because you want the person to follow it. But that's probably how I would do it if I was starting over right now.
Yeah. No, I like that, man. I think, just be humble and understand that this takes time. You don't go to college and graduate the next day. It's like you got to develop
Yeah.
those skills. So just be humble and don't think you're going to be a coach and make there now you figured out your livelihood forever. It's like get your money right and coach on the side, and like don't, and then
Which
go
can
that
be
way.
a great way to do things. Like you can really get ahead doing that and pay for yourself. Like if
Awesome
you have a
cycle.
full-time stable income, full-time job, regular job, and then on the side you start collecting, now you got 5 or 6 paying clients, like awesome. Do that. I would say, like I remember my podcast with Tommy Styles because people would ask us all the time. Like Tommy and I were similar to the way that you are as well, but like we had put in our time and worked full-time jobs and built it up to a point that it was sustainable to quit these full-time jobs. So then we'd get messages from people, hey, what, I have 3 clients, do you think it's time for me to quit and go all in on coaching? Fuck no. Fuck no. I quit my full-time job. I managed the Animal Pack brand, and I didn't quit that job until I could pay my bills just with
Oh,
coaching. And even
yes.
so, that felt like a crazy risk because I didn't have anything left then. I had
That's
no
right.
surplus like to save or whatever the case is. But
That's right.
at that point, it was time. Like I had saved money from working the full-time job and having clients on the side. And I thought to myself, you know what, if I never try, like it's now or never, you know what I mean? I was coming up on 30 at the time, and I had put away like months and months, like what could have been months and months of paying my bills if things just fell flat on my face, and I was ready for that. I was ready for it to just not work at all. um I'm lucky
Yeah.
that it did, but that's kind of just the thought process. Like if you can't at minimum like make it a month on just what your clients are paying you, do not quit your job yet. Don't do it.
Yeah, I think you should get to that point. Like you should work something else and have that security until you get to a point where you say, I need more time to scale my coaching business. Like
Yes.
I'm basically tapped out from like a bandwidth perspective between whatever I have going in life. And then you get to that point where you're like, if I'm going to grow this thing, I have to get rid of something else, and if the financial piece is there as well. But that's what I did. It was like I got to a point where I was like, I need 40, 50 hours a week to scale my coaching business to get it to where I need to be, because I'm here right now, but I don't have any more time to make it better. I
Right. It's
needed
almost like that full-time job then is you were at a point where it was holding you back from building the
exactly.
coaching bigger, which most people that are asking me this are not there yet. And that's not a knock on them. You'll be there eventually, but you have to get to that point first.
Yeah.
And there's no knock. There's a lot of awesome stability that comes with like a corporate full-time job. Like as a bodybuilder, especially if you're enhanced, you better have health insurance. And when you go and coach for yourself, you have to buy market health insurance, and it's not cheap and it's not great either. So that's one thing. Like looking back, there was some good, like there was like a year there for me where like coaching had gotten pretty good, but also I stayed at the full time job, and I look back and I was like, man, that was some pretty comfortable times. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Same.
So
There's a
um,
lot of pros and cons to both worlds.
yeah, for sure. But there's nothing beats working for yourself on your own time and your own schedule. So, of course, that's the goal for everybody. But at the same time, don't rush your process wherever you're at. If you have 5 paying clients, awesome. Get to 15, and then maybe start looking at how you're spending your time and if the full time job makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, I got asked this, and I figured because I got asked it multiple times by different people about the same subject. Give us your take on Sam Sulek's first show.
I knew this was going to come up. Can you hear this machine, by the way?
Yeah,
There's like a snowplow outside of
I was gonna
my.
say it sounds like a mower, but obviously knowing where you are, it's not.
Yeah, we're covered in
It's not
snow.
terrible. It's not terrible.
The temperature like took a big hit again. It's horrible. Like I had to.
Yeah,
There's a foot of snow outside. But anyway, that's what that was.
it's 80 here, by the way, buddy.
Thanks, man. That's what I was telling Paige that I said we're going to Columbus, for the show, and
Yeah,
it's like 5 degrees warmer
it
there. I'm like,
snows every year.
oh, it's always brutal as hell at the Arnold. But I was like, I wish we were going south. But anyway, no. I mean, man, kudos to the kid. Honestly, like he
Yeah,
looked. My first classic physique show, I didn't look like that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like he's got a ton of areas of opportunity. I have two stakes here. First show, Sam Sulek in Vegas. incredible job, man. Pretty good conditioning. Posing needs work. Stage presence needs work. You know, but he's got good muscularity. He won the overall. You know, that's awesome. Incredible.
Right.
You know, but I do think that in Columbus it's going to be a different story. You know,
It will be. Yeah.
we don't have if you're competing for a pro card, you should be able to. For personally, to me, like you should be able to compete as a pro in a like soon. So like there shouldn't be these areas of opportunity. Presentation should be locked up. It should look perfect and all those things that where he was lacking. His peak didn't go fantastic. It looked like because
No.
he looked like he was in pretty good shape, and it looked like it kind of went to hell in a handbasket. But all these things. But it's not a knock on him. He just needs to just to our point we just made in the last question. Just you need to just get a few reps in the tank, man. Like you can't play a wiffle game and then like go to the major leagues. It's like
There's levels. There's levels.
yeah, and there's 3 levels to bodybuilding, right? Well, 4, there's the regional level, the pro qualifier level, and then the professional level, and then 4 would be like the Olympia.
Right.
But the space in between these levels is just it's far and wide and vast, and it's not like that's why hear people nationally qualified versus ready to do nationals. It's like very different things,
Very
right? So
different.
and that's where he is. A lot of these young competitors is they get that qualification and they're like, when's the national show? Like I have guys do that. We get first or second in the class, and it's like, when are we doing it? And then it's like, oh, we'll check it out in a couple years.
Yeah, 3 years from now.
So I think that's the big thing. But I think I like what he does for the sport. He trains hard. He's a no bullshit guy. He eats his food. He keeps it real basic, which we've talked about a million times. That's the beauty of bodybuilding. That's what works, and it's worked for him. And he just needs more time, and that's it.
I think what I've seen in the online space is that it's been like kind of popular to shit on him a little bit.
Yeah.
And this is my take. I think there's tons and tons and tons of people that are jealous and uncomfortable with his popularity. And so then their opinions of him are skewed.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I think I could critique him from 2 different angles. From the angle of him being someone that's like winning an overall and then vying for a potential pro card like this season. Um, the critiques would be about his posing, like just the ability, especially I see in the legs from the front, like he has almost no ability to fire like his rec fem and stuff. Um, and I think the posing could have been more crisp, especially if you're saying like I'm classic physique. There's a big emphasis on posing, man. Like this is what you signed up for. Um, and then I think just the muscularity of his legs seemed way behind, both from square from the front and square from behind, way behind. Now,
Yeah.
if from the other angle, if I was to critique him as this is someone that just literally did their first show and he's 21 years old, he
Awesome.
would have absolutely dwarfed me at 21 at my first show. Um, I think he has, in terms of like talking about classic physique and like the ability to, like, if he were to win a pro card, to quickly turn around and go compete in a pro show. I think he's got it for the upper body. I still think his legs are behind, but there was a lot of positives with his upper body. I think his shoulders are nuts. I think his back is
Nice.
good, but not as it's better than what he presented. I think his arms are good. I didn't see that his arms like stood out as a negative. I thought his vacuum control was very good. And from the perspective of first time getting on stage, I actually thought his posing and his like command of the stage was very good. Like very good
Absolutely.
for a first time competitor. Now, again, different if we're talking about someone who expects to go win a pro card. It's 2 different angles, but I think he just needs to spend time building up the legs. I personally seen Same as you mentioned, and I knew like that you would see this too with a set of coaches' eyes. I went back, and I'm not like a Sam Sulek fan. I might have never clicked on a Sam Sulek video before the last week. I went back and looked at like what he looked like at about a week out or whatever. I mean, he posts every day. God bless him. Um,
Dry.
I think the peak was off, whatever he tried at the end. So my suggestion to him, I said this to my girlfriend the other day because she asked me, she'd like, what, did you see the pictures? What did you think? I said, if he called me right now and as a close friend said, what do you think? I would say, unless you're going to hire a serious coach that's going to bring you in like perfect at this next show, skip it and come back next year.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Because
it's kind of suicide.
it left quite a bit to be desired. I think he was in excellent conditioning.
Yeah.
Like seeing like the striations in his back and how dry the lower back was. Um, and again, I don't know if it's a development issue with the legs, if it's both development and just not the best peak. But there was quite a bit that was left to be desired. So I personally would say, I don't know how. So this is one thing I actually wanted to ask you. How does it work at the Arnold Amateur for Classic? Is it also just the overall winner?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so this is going to be a different ball game then. Like there are going to be
It's
grown men that he's going against.
that have got
Um,
2 shows under their belt.
but
That have,
you also have to consider the business. Like he is I give him credit for getting on
yeah.
stage at all, but he is in the business of bodybuilding more so than
Yes.
he is not that he isn't living the lifestyle bodybuilding, but he makes his living from the way that he portrays bodybuilding online. So him going and doing the Arnold Amateur and getting this, overall win first, next up Arnold Amateur, man, the
Balls.
viewership on his videos is probably going to be insane, and he's probably going to have content for weeks and weeks on end.
Yeah.
I do give him credit because, like you said, it was ballsy of him. Like
Yeah.
I think there has probably never been someone that prepped for their first show ever with as much external pressure as what he probably had to go through. I mean, this kid is getting like 1 million views per video and he posts every single day.
It's
Like he's
insane.
getting like 50 or 60 million views a month on YouTube.
I know. And he just acts like unfazed by it. It's very
He's so
commendable.
unfazed. He's
It's
so
extreme.
unfazed. He's so poised and humble from what it seems.
Yeah.
Um, and I can't imagine having that much poise and being that grounded with that level of popularity at 21 years old. I would have been insufferable. I would have
Dude,
been the world's biggest dickhead at 21 if I had that much popularity.
it's insane. It's extremely admirable. I think he's nothing but great for the sport. I just kind of feel for him. I'm like, you name it, the coach would take him on. Yeah,
Oh
he'd
my
say,
God, I'd love to help him. Are you kidding me?
yeah, he text Hani Rambod, he'd coach him tomorrow. It's like, if you're serious about this thing and you really want to, I know the business side of it's important to him, but if he cares about the pro status and stuff, like, reach out to one of these coaches, man.
Nobody's
And
saying no, dude. Chad Nichols is not turning down that phone call. I'll tell you that.
nobody's going to say no.
Yeah. And
So,
I'll tell
yeah.
you this, I was super impressed. I mean, fuck, dude, 216 pounds on stage at 5'10 or whatever he is.
Dude's
That's a
jacked.
lot of muscle, man. And the fact that his legs have that much room to grow and he's that heavy on stage really tells you how impressive his upper body is, because a lot of people, I think
Yeah.
myself included, I'm in this group. Even like someone at the pro level like Antoine Vaillant comes to mind, where you hear their body weight or their stage weight and
Yes.
it's even a little bit heavier than what you would have guessed because the legs are bigger. um, with him it's kind of flipped. Like it's like I feel like his legs had quite a bit of room to grow and he's still 216. It's like, damn, dude, like you put some
Yeah.
meat on those legs and you're going to be I think he's going to quickly grow out of classic. I don't know that he'll
Well,
ever be able to make it.
to me, he should. He's
He
not.
looks more like a bodybuilder, I
He's a little.
think.
He's a little clanky, and
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
look at Sam at 240. Like,
right.
that'd be badass. And he
Yeah,
doesn't. You have to have this, like, to me, like, the bravado of classic is extremely important, and
it
that's just
is.
not him, dude.
It's
He
not him.
likes you like to rip most musculars and get as vascular as possible. Like, go be a
Yeah.
bodybuilder. Don't be
That and
scared.
he's got more of this like powerful but stoic um
Yeah.
persona. And it's like, dude, that's open bodybuilding. That's Dorian Yates. Like that's all of these guys that, like you said, the bravado, like your charisma and all these things have to really flourish on stage to be classic. And I just don't think that's naturally who he wants to be or who he is. So yeah, but man, a lot of love to him. I think
Yeah.
because he never once had to do this. He's
No,
set for life if he never stepped foot on a bodybuilding stage, and he went through it and brought a legitimate look. Like so, as from one bodybuilder to another, respect.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Um, I heard Ian say on a podcast that some of his best competitive looks were when he slowly backed off training, starting somewhere around 10 weeks out. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, volume should be managed appropriately. If your calories are a half to a third of what they were peak off season, you're not going to be able to train the same way. So the key is to continue to provide like a pretty quality stimulus, but yeah, I mean, your volume should basically hit rock bottom essentially, is as far as manageable volume, because you're just gonna not gonna be able to recover. So
Yeah. No, I agree. And I've experienced the same. There's sometimes I've gotten in my own head where I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna train my ass off until the end.
how's
Like
that
I'll
turn out for
I'll
you?
I'll show them, you know what I mean? Like I get this almost chip on my shoulder. And then it's like, man, like the last 4 weeks, like fat loss just completely stopped, and I wasn't nearly in the shape that I should have been or that I was trending to be at. And then, as lame as it sounds, the times that I was starting to like get totally buried with tons of cardio or very, very low food, in those moments, if I started to like leave one or two in the tank on those big sets, but still try to move around the same loads, but I'm just not going until it's like soul snatching failure. Wouldn't you know, I look fucking awesome. Like best that I've ever looked. It's been the same experience for me. Um, I think one thing, just thinking out loud for the sake of conversation, one thing I'd like to try to tote the balance of this year is keeping like doing that and managing the volume in the places where I can afford to do that. Like I think of like my legs and my back are pretty good. They hold up pretty good without like tons of volume. Arms and shoulders have kind of withered at the end of certain preps. So I'm wondering if I'm able to back off from some of this like heavy, intense stuff of those bigger body parts, if it allows me to keep some more working volume in those other body parts, if they look different at the end of the process. Um, I don't know. Stay tuned.
I mean, logically, that makes sense. You're going to be pulling, from less places. So it kind of
Yeah,
always looks like it is just like a big bucket, right? And you can
right.
only,
It's like a
pull.
budget.
It's a budget. It's a
Yeah,
recoverability budget between food, drugs, sleep. Are those, yeah, drugs have went up, but sleep is now compromised. So you have no food. Like if you're hitting your legs, man, and they're wrecked for 5 days after, like pull it back.
yeah, yeah. So we'll see. But I think in general, that was good advice. I listened to that podcast also. There was a
Yeah,
podcast Ian did
I
with
agree.
Melissa, and I thought it was good general advice because I think a lot of people too, like, still think that doing more at the end, doing higher rep sets, doing drop sets at the end, like, is going to chisel in more detail. And it's like, no, like, you're going to be an inflamed, watery mess from doing this.
Man, yeah, like right now, it's 2 sets of movement, and I'm leaving probably 2 or 3 in the tank and moving
Yep.
on.
Business like. It's a business trip every time you go to the gym. That's it.
Yeah, it ain't a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel you, dude. I feel you. Um, how do you prep your skin leading up to the show? For example, do you tan? Are you exfoliating, doing lotion, shaving, that whole process?
It's a good question that a lot
Yeah.
of people neglect.
Yes.
I am a big fan of getting a base tan. So this
Definitely.
is usually something I will start working on like 4 to 6 weeks out minimum. Um, Usually longer, just because if you have a darker tan, you can get more accurate visuals. Maybe 8 to 10 weeks out is
During the
good.
process. Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of like start to do it early there. I will utilize Milano tan for it and the tanning bed a couple days a week. So, there's that piece. Going into the next part is like moisturizing and exfoliating. I'm not too anal on that until about like 2 weeks, 10 days out. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I just start like using a wash rag and an exfoliating body wash, or even like a baking soda, like some type of anti-surfactant. You can use like a sugar scrub as well. um, Going to town on like especially like the dead skin areas of in like more crevice type areas of your body, so like under your pecs, armpits, and increases, elbows, things like that. And then putting lotion on after those showers, just moisturizing really well. And then that's pretty much those two pieces. And then the next piece would be kind of like your actual tan preparation. And for me, like I'll give this little cocktail away. It's a good one to use. I'll use like an acne free oil cleanser, or a oil free acne cleanser. Um, and then I will use baking soda, and I will make a paste with those. And I will hit my skin with that like the night before the
Mm.
tan, and then I will make like a thick rinse with that, hit that, and then this is gonna like extract pretty much a lot of oils out of your skin. And I'll rinse that off, and then I'll use Dawn dish soap, which
I've
is
heard this.
yeah, like a great degreaser, and then I'll use that and like just get my skin extremely dry, and then I'll usually use that shower to touch up any shaving, and then I will do that same shower about an hour before my tan, or at least in close proximity to my tan, and go in there
Okay.
with really dry skin. And then usually like you dry like extremely quick, and I've always had great success with that. And that's what I have clients do as well.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Same deal with me. I start the tanning. Um, Basically it's one of those like habits that I put in that like, okay, prep has started.
Your
This is
routine.
part of the process. Like I just so I'll probably tan twice a week starting at 20 weeks out when I start. I'm gonna use melanotan both like prior to or shortly after each tanning session. It doesn't take a lot, and I notice I get an upset stomach pretty easily from that, but
Yeah.
a little bit goes a long way, man. I am naturally very pasty white. I'm Irish and German as a background, so it's like just super European white skin.
Yeah.
And that melanotan brings me to another level of
I've
ethnicity.
seen you
So
get dark. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, and so that plus like a legitimate salon tanning bed I noticed made a big difference this past year. I'd always a couple of the corporate gyms around us would have like one of these stand-up ones in there, and I'd always just done that and it done the trick. And then I did like I had bought like a membership to like a real tanning salon this year, and it's like way different, I have to
Yeah.
say. So I'll start that like 20 weeks out, and at no point really I'll stop. I'll probably tan Monday before a Saturday show, and then I'll be done.
Yeah.
um
Good point.
you don't want to tan too close. You don't want your skin like inflamed or bothered or whatever the case is. This past year my girlfriend got me kind of like moisturizing and putting lotion everywhere following my showers. That started at like a couple weeks out, and I
Yeah.
actually wrote a note for myself. I have some notes of things that have popped up in my head over the past couple months of what I can do to improve my prep process. And one of the things that I wrote down was like exfoliating and moisturizing my skin from the jump starting at 20 weeks out. So I'm going to try that. I will say that I've lucked out because I have great skin. Like it's just always, it's honestly something I never even thought much about or put much effort into, and it always looked really good. So I've kind of taken it for granted, but this year I'm going to put more into it. And then shaving before the show. So I'm a little different. I will shave like Wednesday before a show.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm okay. Like if that means by Saturday there's a little bit of stubble, I'm totally okay with that. I would rather that than having like I with my even with having a tan, like my skin is still naturally like white and sensitive, and so it's sensitive when I shave. And
Yeah.
so I'd rather have a little stubble than like a nick somewhere where it looks like I caught myself shaving, which is very common when you're shaving your whole body.
Yeah,
And
and
it
I was
also,
go ahead.
oh, go ahead. I was just going to say it also, it can easily be that the closer you get to your show, that whole peak week, even though you should be chilling out, it's easy for like the list of things that you have to do to kind of creep up on you and make you stress. So like getting it done, I'm done with it on Wednesday, and then it's just taken care of. Like, you know what I mean? Like Thursday, if you have to pack to go to the hotel on Friday, whatever the case is, like it's just one less thing to think of. And
Yeah,
then, funny enough, recently, I've always done that. I've always been okay with a little bit of stubble over the idea of cutting myself or whatever. And then recently, I saw something where Dorian said on a podcast, Dorian Yates said on a podcast that that was like a secret trick of his, was that he shaved wet Tuesday or Wednesday to intentionally have stubble because then it would give you an
like a
illusion of gnarliness. Yeah, yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Okay, that's pretty funny.
yeah.
I guess that it gives like a little bit of a filter,
A
huh?
little bit, yeah. I like your Dawn dish soap idea. I've heard that and I've never done it, and then I think I'm gonna put that in my notes for later.
It's good, man. You'll get out of that
Yeah.
shower feeling like sandpaper, and then that tan
Ooh.
just
Ooh,
sticks
just
right on.
sits right on there. So I have a like you had said that you make your own paste actually. I forget what are some of the top tan companies? Refresh my memory.
Protan, liquid sun rays.
Protan makes a like solution that you should use in your
Yes,
showers the week leading up to your show. My girlfriend got that for me for last year, and I used it prior to both shows, and it was excellent.
it's
My
good.
skin looked unbelievable, dude. Like
This
conditioning at the first show should have been better, but the skin itself looked fantastic.
perfect. I'm actually going to use their base coat this year. I'm going to do
Oh,
like two
nice. Are you doing? I
coats
was
of
going to ask, are you doing your own, or do they offer a
that.
venue tan?
Yeah, they have it's Protan. Yeah, it's Protan for the venue,
Okay.
but I am going to do Protan's take home two coats of that. Like I'll do Monday and I'll wash that off Tuesday and I'll do again Tuesday night and then I'll get the actual venue tan on Wednesday.
Oh, okay. Beautiful.
I think that like my girlfriend uses it and it's really nice and it's a really good
Yeah.
color and it's really smooth. So I think having like that, it'll just look really nice and dark. And I think
Yeah.
that looks really
That
good.
and it's like nice and settled. You're almost getting a head start on it. You know what I mean? They make great products. They're good. They know their shit.
It's a very good company, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to make one more point on the shaving. Like, don't wait until start shaving a body part like each like 12 weeks out minimum. Like, get the hair
Oh, for
off and like try
sure.
to stay on top of it. Because if you wait to shave that shit, you're gonna be in the shower for 4 hours.
It's
And
miserable, dude. It's like
if you
an
wait, yeah, dude, in your energy, if you wait until that long, like it's a thing,
I was just gonna say, dude, it's a deflating process. Like you're sitting there doing a lot. You're naked. You're cold. The water's
Cool.
running. Like it's like, bro, it's miserable to shave. Like to have a lot to shave at the end. So that's a great idea. I think honestly, if I had to put like some type of process or number on it, I think doing like a full body shave every 4 weeks would save yourself a lot at the end. I think that, and it's like it's giving your coach a better look at like the visual man. Like I can specifically remember, a friend of mine and a client, and has grown into being a really good friend. We turned him pro last year at Universe and Classic, but he's a Pakistani guy. This guy Zaim. Shout out to my boy Z. He's awesome. Not awesome about shaving and prep, and he's like the hairiest man on the face of the earth.
You're
And
like,
like,
bro, I can't even see what's going
bro, we
on.
got to like 6 weeks out, and I was like, I think you're in awesome shape, but I need you to fucking shave, dude.
I've had to tell a couple that, man. I'm like, can you please shave your fucking back
Yeah.
this week?
Yeah. No, but it was everything, dude. Like, he's super brown and then super hairy. So it's like, his
Back.
quads, his back, his stomach, bro. It looks like there was a fucking quilt across his chest and his stomach. I'm like, bro, you need to shave. Like, there's a lot under there. Like, you need to shave.
You're gonna want to get ahead of that.
Yeah. No, but that's a great point because it's like an exhausting, almost like deflating process at the end.
It's
And
tough.
especially, bro, especially if you're single and you are very hairy and you leave it at the end, like luckily I have a girl that takes excellent care of me, and we'll sit there together, and she's got a one blade and I've got a one blade, and we're going at it together. And it's still like we gotta break this up into chunks. Like it's almost like eating an elephant. Like she'll do one calf, I'll do the other calf. She'll do one quad, I'll do the other quad, and then we have to break. I gotta go eat, and then we'll come back and do the rest later.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough process, man. I like the you brought up the one blade though. I think that's a new bodybuilder starter kit must. The
Must.
Phillips Norelco one blade with the face and body. Get that if you're in bodybuilding period. Don't question it. It's $50. You'll get $1 million worth of uses out of it. So just buy one.
They're the best. It's the best thing. It gives you all of the like safety of an electric with the closeness of a real
Pretty
razor.
damn close. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, because I've done this every time, like I was saying, anybody that's listening that's interested, that Wednesday one blade shave tends to put you just right with a little bit of stubble on Saturday, like little to none. But if it is going to help with the look, the way that Dorian talked about, that sets you up pretty good. Let me see here. You know what? I think I'm gonna wrap it here. We're about just
Okay.
about an hour.
Yeah.
My guy's 10 days out, so I'm wrapping it up. There's other
Yeah,
ones that I'll just save them until the next time.
for sure. Yeah. I'll see. We'll see about next week. I will still be
Yeah.
here. But yeah, I'm excited,
I'm
man.
getting
We
on
got
this. I'm getting on this computer to talk to the people one way or another. So if you're going to join me,
that's
that'd
it.
be great.
I would love to, man, because that'll be a
Yeah,
day before I take off, and I can give you one final update on
that'd be
how things
awesome.
are talking.
Yeah, we.
But
I'd love to hear it. I'd love to almost have that be like a quick little pre-show interview or something. So,
for sure.
um, all right, guys. So for Joseph Percher, Austin Brown, this is the One More Rep podcast, and until next week, we are out.